I do want to talk about the simulation of Christ's return, which they were working on.
Yes.
Operation Blue Beam, I think it's called, and what they're really up to. Because none of them are godly men, are they?
Zero. In fact, Pat Robertson himself said in his Pat Robertson's perspective that he felt the evangelicals, which was his power base, were one of the dumbest demographics on the planet. So he's milking them. He's milking them for finance, support, and he'll use anybody. If you have shoemakers and they were apparently having influence, he would have been catering to the shoemakers.
It's a grift.
It is, totally 100%.
But what I like is that he was grooming you to be the face of, what was it?
The Christian Coalition. So Ralph Reed took my place, but I was being groomed.
He looks just like your Ralph Reed.
They want
in a way.
Blue eyes, dimples, smile, and the whole concept, Roseanne, was that the face, Robertson could work from behind, right? You'd be on set, I'd be on the Sunrise Club with him, and he'd be working with the face being what would draw people in. And he specifically mentioned women. Mm-hmm. He said that women would look at me, and if I got caught in the news for doing something wrong for Robertson, they're supposed to say, quote, yes, he did wrong, but he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, they were getting mind-controlled women to be really subservient.
That was his target audience, women.
Yeah. Well, it always is. That's who has the money.
That's exactly what he showed.
Women, they're widows.
Exactly.
They don't got no kids, or their kids can't stand them.
Women are supposed to tell the men to write the check to Robertson. Yeah.
That's how the world really works, huh?
Boy bands are like that for young girls.
They're the bait.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then the bait has its, shall we say, management team, PR folk that are some of the lowest life people in the world that abuse children sexually. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely right. And one of the foibles, or one of the problems that Robertson faced, is the arrogance that ensues. Mm-hmm. Their whole organization, the different ones on top, are all very arrogant. They forget that those of us that are being used are very, very bright.
Yeah. They don't think that you see them.
They don't. The arrogance cloaks that, blinds them.
You know what Torah says? It says arrogance and ignorance are the exact same thing, but they're just two sides of the same coin. One does not exist without the other.
That's brilliant.
And it's always where they are tripped up. When them two things, when they talk about intersectionality, that's their intersectionality that's taking them down right and left.
Exactly.
Because they're not for, talk about biting the hand that feeds you.
That's right. They also stumble with, they brag. One of the biggest things I've seen through these decades of doing this, like you have, is that they always end up bragging about what they got away with.
Yeah, they can't hold themselves back.
Can't. Every time. And that, they're doing that to writers that actually have a passion for serving their audience, then you're just feeding us material to catch you. So that's why it's coming around.
It's demonic.
It is demonic.
So anyways, there you were working for Pat Robertson, and you're doing all that to be the face of
Christian Coalition.
I wanted to say that Ralph Reed, he came after me when I first went on the air. He said the Roseanne Show was anti-family values.
Sure he was.
And that was before I even had any gay characters or anything. He said that, because I did a show about Darlene getting her period.
Mm-hmm.
And he took umbrage to that because, women, I guess, icky, stinky women.
Well, that's Robertson's right where he comes from, his whole mentality, which filters down through his ranks. Think what he did on his program when he talked about a girl who had been raped, and he said it's her fault for dressing the way she did.
He said that?
He said that. He also said that a woman had called in saying that her husband was having an affair, and his response, basically paraphrased, was, well, you should have done more to entice him. It's your fault that he had the affair. That's his mentality. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're working for him, and how long did it take you to figure out it's a boy pedo ring he's running over there?
It took being on a trip with one of his top guys named Harry Sova, who's now at Liberty University. A communications professor, became a dean. Took me on the trip and told me all about Alone in the Strip to Cherry Hill, Washington, trailer park in D.C. Told me all about Robertsons Sex Ring, everything going on, and how we would rise if we're part of it. And if we try to make a wave, and if I say no, then I'm losing everything, and I'll have nothing in the end. And when he explained it all through, he gave me an example which blew my mind. He gave us the key to cracking the cabal. He said that a man named David Anderson was a pastor at Kempsville Presbyterian Church.
Was a who pastor?
Pastor at Kempsville Presbyterian Church, where he was,
Uh-huh.
out in Virginia Beach. He came forward to his congregation, this is Sova telling me on the trip, confessed to the entire congregation that he had had sexual relations with Pat Robertson and the president of his school, David Anderson. Right, David Anderson's confessing this. And so what happens is Robertson tries to cover it up by putting his top PR man, David Gyertson, in charge of covering it up, where he became the pastor and had sessions with the congregation to keep it quiet. That's why it came to bite me later, where they sent, when Sova approaches me, he says, you can't tell anyone. Robertson will destroy you if this gets out. That's also why they named Neo Thomas A. Anderson. It's about the guy who came forward, the pastor.
When you say they made it,
We're
Thomas,
getting into that.
Wachowskis. Yeah, Wachowskis.
Now,
I got it.
okay, but now you're getting off the.
Well, I wanted to connect
First,
it. But
I
yeah,
know
that-
you will,
yeah.
but I'm glad you put that in there for an asterisk.
It's a teaser.
It's a teaser,
He's
yeah.
a writer. And that's what he's doing.
Yes,
Connect
he
the
is.
dots, yeah.
And he's one of the greatest.
No, thanks.
Okay, so I asked you what you majored in college, and you said
Communications and history with pre-law as a backup.
and film also, right?
Film also.
That was in graduate
I
school.
wanted to mix historic events and tell them accurately without glossing over, fluffing, or changing them like, not pants, but skirts in Braveheart. Actually do it the way it was historically done so people can immerse themselves into historic film.
Yeah,
like film.
because it's important to know your history, isn't
And
it?
live it, breathe it, feel it. Yeah.
Yes. So learn from it, grow from it, correct something once,
Right.
right?
That was the goal.
That's what trauma keeps you from figuring out how to correct anything.
That's right. Honesty becomes the bridge away from the horror. So you look at honesty and having others the
What
opportunity
a
to have it.
line.
Yeah.
Picking my jaw up from the floor. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was honest.
Now, this Christian coalition you were telling me, what was their goal?
Their goal was to have a, believe it or not, one world order, and that Pat Robertson, quote, would no longer be the tail but the head and not a second-class citizen anymore, is what he was ingraining, and that it would have a one world theocracy in the end where he would be the head of it.
But wasn't it also to get Bush elected?
He was the one that used the Christian coalition to get Bush in office, and even gave like 100 of his pre-law or law students from Regent University became part of the Bush team. And the Law and Justice Center of Robertson's creation with Jay Sekulow became what Newsweek called Bush's dream team. So yeah, very much tied together.
It's just mind-blowing. Now, this new world order that they wanted to bring, that don't really have all that much to do with Christianity as I understand it, does it?
Christianity was simply to be a controlling factor for those outside the program that were not chosen. Basically, that's what it was. That's why I whispered through art. It was to be a control device to keep people in place and placate them that were not selected.
And what happened after that guy told you all that? Be good and don't say nothing, you'll go far. What did you do?
I did a Tom thing. Coming from the background we discussed as a child, I went to try to get him some help. And that's when the axe came down.
That's when they axed you?
That's when they got me, just destroy me. Yeah.
Who did you go to get him help?
The dean of the communications department. I went saying I don't want anything to happen to this man because I was being told that it was circulating, things were being said, it was happening, problems were occurring. So I said, okay, I'll go to the dean and just say, I want him just to be helped. I don't want anything to happen to him. Yeah, nice move.
Did anything happen to him?
He got promoted.
Isn't it? It's hilarious.
He was a repeat offender. There was a letter written to me, a letter written to him after this meeting, right? Same date, October 31st, 1988. The letter to me says that I should trust him only as God's authority on earth for me, no one else, and that I did everything wrong by accusing this wonderful man. The letter to him, written by the same parties in the other room waiting, when they came and wrote it, said that he was a repeat offender, not to do it again, that not to spread lie or rumors about this student, let it go, stop making it worse, and that you were wrong to take him drinks and to have homosexuality and stuff on the trip. That's the letter.
Did he force you to have sex?
I was roofied. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I still remember.
Did you wake up during?
I couldn't really move. But I remember him at the refrigerator. He had the heater on, like didn't have the air conditioner. It was 90 some degree heat wave in Washington, D.C. at Cherry Hill Park. He said not to bring any money. He tried to offer alcohol. I didn't take it. And then I did drink the water, and that's where it hit. And then I realized what was going on. He got down to his briefs, which were these red Speedo kind of things. Remember, completely disgusting. He's like, an older man. And he went to the refrigerator and stood in front of the refrigerator after not keeping it super hot. And I was sweating. I was in my clothes. And he went to the refrigerator. I found out later he had masturbated into the milk carton and poured the milk in the next day into my bowl, and looked with red glistening eyes while I consumed the cereal, and realized the taste was off, and realized what he had done. And he's been promoted, and he's now at Cherry Falls University. Yeah. So I lost everything, and that's why Robertson was set out to make sure the screenplay, where I whispered everything to art, went to Hollywood companions through David Geyerson, the PR person who has studios or setups, offices out in Hollywood, works with Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, and the rest.
Okay,
There's
we're
your
getting
sex
there.
ring. Yeah, it's a sex ring connections with Hollywood.
Oh, good Lord.
So you see.